Hello everybody, just here to give a brief overview of the moving platform system that I created for our work in progress game, Untitled. So my goal with this was to make it really customizable, dynamic, and just give the designers a tool that they can use easily to create a lot of unique and different scenarios and interactions for the levels they're creating. So even though moving platforms are an incredibly simple thing at their core or at their base, I really was aiming to make this robust and feature rich. So let's go over it, and we'll make this quick. So we've got the platform parent, which is just a parent object with this moving platform script on it. We'll go over it in a second. The platform itself has the platform base script on it. And finally, we have nodes, which are the actual nodes which the barrier or the platform travels across. And we also have a navigator object here. Navigator is only used for one specific movement type. Otherwise, it just stays in the same place as the platform parent and doesn't really do anything. But we'll go over that in just a second. So the first thing you'll see is we've got a couple different options. So for movement type, we've got constant, contact, and activate. Constant will just, the platform will continuously move will move immediately without prompting from the player. If should loop is set to true, constant will just continuously loop and move for the duration of its existence. However, if you do should loop is false, then it will just get to the end and stop there. So usually in those cases, you would use a contact where the platform will start moving once it is in contact with the player, and it will stop moving whenever it is no longer in contact with the player. We'll leave it on constant for now. Also activate is just activated via a button. It's very similar to the contact behavior, just via a button instead of contact with the player. So move speed is the speed at which the platform will move. Node delay is the number of seconds that the platform will stop at each node. And again, should loop just dictates whether that platform will loop back to the beginning and continue to loop back and forth once it reaches the end. Finally, we have these nodes. Currently, we've got 5 nodes in the path, and those nodes are telling the platform where it needs to go. We can add nodes via the inspector. If we add a new node, we'll focus to it. So we'll add that new node. We'll see the gizmos populate, and we've got another node. So let's go back to platform parent. We can see we have those nodes. I'm going to go ahead and remove 2 nodes, and we'll see we have only 4 nodes now. Now I'm just going to add 1 node back in just to showcase one final thing, where we'll put this node in, and then we'll go here to node 4, and we no longer want this node, so we're going to remove the node, and we'll see we get our nodes not only renamed, but still structured correctly in the node list. So now that I've gone over kind of how you can set it up, let's take a look at the different movement options you have once you have that set up. So you can go to the platform itself, and we can find the platform base script. And here we can choose the translation type. If you choose linear, there are no additional options. It is just going to go straight from point A to point B, C, D, etc. We can also choose curve, where we can make the motion lerp across from position A to B via an animation curve. So I've got one set up already, but you can customize it here in the editor. We also have damp motion. You can specify the damping amount, and steering motion, which really is a little bit difficult to use just because it can be hard to get it working correctly in certain situations, and I've put warnings there, but it can be a pretty natural looking movement if that's what you need, and if you've got the space for it. So let's just take a look at these different motion types in action. So we'll just start with linear. Let's make sure we're on constant motion, and we'll go ahead and hit play and just jump back into the scene here. And as we can see, we've got the platform moving via linear motion along the path. It should loop, so we will see it hit the end here and then start back towards the initial point. We'll go ahead and throw a 1.5 second node delay on here just to showcase that in action. But we're going to leave it from 0 for now. And let's mess around with the translation types. So let's take a look at that curve we created and watch that in action. As we can see, the platform moves from point A to point B, meaning the point it was just on, to the point it's going to, via that animation curve. It lerps across, it uses lerp plus evaluation of that animation curve to dictate the position of that platform base. So let's now take a look at damp, and we can see this is where the navigator comes in, because as you can see, the navigator is moving via linear motion, but the platform base itself is on a damp function that follows that navigator, hence the name navigator. This works just fine with node delay. However, steering behavior, the next one we're going to look at, has node delay disabled simply because the behavior becomes very unmanageable and quite difficult for it to figure out where it's supposed to be on the path once you start doing that, simply because of how the steering works. So let's take a look at that really quick. We'll go to steering, and steering sometimes looks a little similar to the damp behavior, but it is a little bit different when you get down to it. Or actually very different when you get down to it. But this just uses a basic steering algorithm, which works really well. It just can get a little bit out there as far as how it moves. So it's best to use this only for some simple paths, and just you gotta test it if you are going to use it. So finally, let's just show it applying motion to the player. We'll just leave it on steering, that's fine. But we'll switch this to contact. We'll go ahead and play, and we'll go ahead and pop our character onto the platform before it starts, so we can see the platform there. Once we hop on, we'll begin moving. As you can see, we're moving with it. And let's just see that in action from above. As you can see, player stays where they are on the platform. This was a little difficult to accomplish because of the nature of our character controller. But pretty much every frame, I check the difference between the last position's frame and the current position's frame. Current frame's position and last frame's position. And I just apply that additional motion, or I just send that additional motion to the player, which gets applied as additional motion vector on top of any regular motion that the player is doing. So if we go here, we can see we can still move around on top of the platform, and because we're on contact, if we get off, we're going to see it stops as well. But we get back on, and we're back in motion. That is all for the moving platforms. Again, really just trying to make a simple system into a really robust and usable tool for the designers. But thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great night.